give critical pushback to both sides, from the left and the right. It's ironic because if you look at American history and you look at Thomas Jefferson, 11 years before he wrote the Declaration of Independence, he actually ordered his first Quran, which came to him from England, and he actually read it, unlike some other elected leaders. He didn't need big pictures. What, too soon? My bad. And he read it, and 11 years later, he wrote the Declaration of Independence, very much using religious liberty as a protective shield for the Mohammedans. We were called Mohammedans back in the day. Muslims, Mohammedans, Hakuna Matata. Pagans, Jews, and Christians, right? So that was the intention and the framework. Religious liberties, freedoms for all, protection, makes America great again.
And he was even accused of being a secret Muslim in the election of 1800.
Yeah, and
it wasn't Obama who was the first president to be.
And Obama is a Muslim, by the way. Thank you for voting for it. Secret's out. But look, you said about Catholics, we see parallels, right? Certain parallels exist. American Freedom and Catholic Power was a best-selling book in 1949. That book, if you literally read everything he said about Catholics, you just replace Catholic with Muslim. It is almost the exact same talking points from the 2012 and 2016 presidential elections. In 1959, when that book was re-released, when this young man by the name of JFK was ascending, it became a best-selling book again, warning about the rise of the Catholic threat. What's the difference, I would say, is the following, and I think this is what's causing a lot of the panic on the right, is Muslims, unlike Catholics and Jews, will never be absorbed into whiteness. We are the most religiously diverse communities in America, 30% African American, 25% South Asian, 20% Arab, and the rest miscellaneous. And so whether or not we will be integrated or assimilated, I think one of the major fault lines here is race. And also another major fault line, and it's happening in Europe right now, in France and UK and Netherlands, for example, in the last 6 months, is the conversation about Islam. Whether or not our religious liberties and freedoms extend enough to include the muhajjaba woman who's fasting in the mosque. Whether or not we restrict or contract or expand. And from the right wing, what we see is the use and abuse of religious liberty not as a shield, but as a sword against Muslims, LGBT, and women. From the left, for reasons that Stephen's already mentioned, and I wrote about this last month in the New York Times, Muslims are stuck because from a religious point of view, we're actually empathetic with Christians, right? Take a religion seriously, follow the prophets, traditional values. We'll let LGBT people do what they do, but if you ask them whether or not LGBT marriage, gay marriage is a sin, most will say yes. Abortion, you do what you have to do, but if you ask me if it's sin, we'll say yes. We're actually aligned with you. Oh, guess what? You don't want us. Okay, let's go to the left. Left is with us. We're progressive on healthcare, on affordable wages, on welfare programs, yes. But because of the polarization, the civilizational test, or if you will, the civilizational capacity for my inclusion is whether or not you believe in God or don't believe in God. So why do you believe in God, and why do you believe in a text, and why do you believe in a prophet? In order to be seen as liberal and left, you have to be what? Secular. And you have to abandon these outdated values. So Muslims are almost stuck in the middle, where we're like the unwanted stepchild who kind of just wants in and wants to bring in our falafel and halal meat to the barbecue. But the Christians don't want us. Even though they're for religious liberties, but not for our religious liberties. And the left kind of wants us, but doesn't want us if we're too Muslim-y. So where do we fit in? And it's an interesting, paradox right now of where do we belong, and whether or not, the last thing I'll say is a lot of Muslims are now really deciding this, is the Democrats can't take our vote for granted just because we're the outlier and being used and abused by the right. And the right can't take our vote for granted just because they're going to use family values and God. You have to earn it.